Alright, howdy folks. Welcome back to Top Comics Pressing. This is going to be a case study, but it's going to be an unusual one because instead of comic books, we're going to be looking at some vintage Disney playing cards. These got sent to me by somebody who was curious if I could touch them up and clean them up, and honestly I have no idea. So they said that a couple of the key Disney characters from the set are worth a few bucks, so they sent me 3 of the lesser known Disney characters to experiment on. And you know, right off the bat I can see that there's some stuff here that might be worth trying to dry clean or wet clean off. This red color that's bleed through from the ink on the back, I'm hoping that we can blue LED treat away. And there's a couple of areas that look like really light staining. And so what I was going to do with these is kind of start with them under our standard comic book dry clean methods. And because they have a little bit more of this intense dirt, I was going to use my absorbing pad here. Yeah, there you go. See, these are an absorbing pad. It's in the dry cleaning video, dry cleaning supply video. And this is what I use for things that obviously just have a lot of surface dirt and grit on them. I tend not to use this on comic books because it's easy to, at least not very often, but because it's easy to grip the comic and accidentally rip it. And you can also rub color on it. But if you see anything that obviously just looks like caked on dirt, quite poor, or very, very obvious, this is my kind of go-to, bulk cleaning. And yeah, we got lucky and that dirt rubbed right off the edge of Mac's hair there. Bet you this stuff is gonna rub right off here. Yeah. Yes, that's pretty awesome. Able to give that a little bit of touch up. Let's do the third card here. Let's see if we can get, I bet you all that's gonna come off just the same. Just a nice light dry clean on there. I was a big Disney fan. If you check my Instagram and scroll all the way down, we were lucky enough to buy a original animation cell from the Snow White movie. Snow White? Yeah, Snow White. And it was pretty messed up when I got it. And so I was able to take the animation cell out and give it a light dry clean over. Yeah, in this area where there's clearly damage up there, we're not going to want to rub too hard with. Let's see if we can make... I think that's actually crud on the card. I was worried at first it was color lift out, but I think you can still see the card under there. And that must be, maybe these were stuck together. Yeah, so right here, where there's that chipping, I bet you they were stuck, got wet, and all of this that you see here is one of the other cards probably has that exact pattern. Here's a little bit more of a gooby. Those kind of goobies are always 50-50 if you take these little metal spatulas and try to clean them out. Let's grab it here in my box. Sometimes you can accidentally take a chunk off, but I think that gooby will come off just fine. I'm gonna very lightly, there's a patch right here in the kind of the center top. I'm gonna see if I can just peel that card off. If not, I might get a Q-tip with some water and see. If it's dry and it's not sticking too bad, a little bit of gentle scratches, and that's kind of working. Let's try a little patch right in the middle of this bigger white spot. I do see white coming off. Moisture is very different, but you can end up either sticking it heavier on there with some water or rubbing color off. Usually we'll try, yeah, that's definitely just some of the card. The risk, of course, is rubbing through the red. This end's a little bit more pointed, and so you have to be very, very careful with that because it's going to be, this end's a little bit blunter on the edge there. So I usually like doing the blunt edge, and that is going to take some of that off. Just going to have to be very gentle here. This is going to take a while, so I'm going to do some of this off camera to save you some boredom because we're going to have to go all the way down. There's a bunch of it on here. But at least that's answering the question of what is that? Let's just give it our absorbing sponge here. And as I wipe, I pick up and come back, because what you don't want to do is, you know, rub back and forth and clip that edge. And so it's rub in one direction, pick up, rub one direction, pick up, very much so like that. And this thing comes in like this massive sponge, and I just cut it into chunks, which is why it looks misshaped and mangled, is because it is. All right. So that hopefully will get most of our surface dirt. Let's take a eraser pen here, and I'm just going to clean this on my tape off camera to get whatever crud was on there before off. And then let's just give it our normal dry clean. These cards don't feel like they have a very thick gloss on them, and so that's something I'm going to have to be careful of. I think that would make me hesitate to do techniques like a spot hop on them, because I think I'm pretty sure I would end up ripping the ink right off, which of course would be super sad face. These are also really warped, so I'm going to try my hand at pressing them as well, which is also something I've never done, is pressed cards before. I hear various stories from the card collectors on if that is a good or a bad idea, so feel free to leave your comments for those of you that are better with trading cards in the comments or descriptions if it's a good idea to clean and press cards or not. Comic books and trading cards, while they overlap, and some of the people that are interested in them, I will tell you, have very different rules. So if you are new to comic books and you're coming at it from cards, get ready for a different universe. And if you are a comic book person going to cards, also get ready for a different universe. Totally different in terms of grading, what counts as a defect, what gets overlooked, etc., etc. Alright, some of this dirt does not look like it's coming off very well. I'm going to take my little Mr. Clean Magic eraser sheet, and we're just going to try to do the perimeter where there's a little bit more stuck on dirt. Obviously we've already got a lot, and I don't want to scratch it. These Mr. Clean sheets are significantly more abrasive than the eraser. It does not look like I'm getting a ton off. Let's say this effort is mostly going unrewarded. There's also a good indication to stop before you do any damage. But that looks a lot better already. Let's see what we can do back here. Oh yeah, this has a thick layer of dirt. I can see a lot more white where I'm rubbing coming through. Just like a comic book, we'll do the perimeter. And then I'm just going to very gently do in the white areas here, much like I would do across the comic. I'm not seeing a lot of red there, and so that's an important just check. I'm not, again, putting any pressure down. I'm just kind of going back and forth on it. All right, so I'm gonna do the same thing on these other two cards, and I'll save you that, and we'll take a peek before we go into the blood box. All right, so these have now been dry cleaned, and so we can see that. Now on this one, I did a couple of things that I didn't do on the other cards. The first of which is I attempted to chisel off as much of that stuck on card as I could, and I did try my Q-tip with water and Q-tip with rubbing alcohol trick. You know, I got some of it off. I was able to clean up a bunch up here, But it was kind of 50-50 on the areas where if I would take off that outer card, you can see some of the little dots like right here and right there. I've actually taken off the red on the back. So while it looks better, yeah, and there's the big patch over here too. So this is all actually damaged to the red. I wasn't able to come up with a method that was really good at removing that stuck on card without damaging the red underneath. So I might play with that a little bit more, but at the moment, I think it's probably best, you know, just as is on that area. I also, you know, you can see that there is still some light dirt stuck in those cracks in the card fiber, and you can see that's where it's printed based on little veins right here. You can see, so within those veins, there's still some dirt in that area. I did try a couple of really light wet cleaning techniques in there as well, and I wasn't able to make it, you know, that much better, I would say. And so because of that, I'm just going to leave it with whatever dirt is left there to avoid going too deep or causing too much of a problem. So with that, I think these are going to head into the bled box. And again, what I'm going to try to do there is remove this red color bleed through that's visible really on all three cards as you look at it. And so hopefully they'll also whiten up and become a little bit more vibrant. So stay tuned for that. All right, this is a post-bled treatment look at these cards. They are definitely whiter. They're definitely brighter, which is pretty awesome. I was a little disappointed with how the red bleed through was resolved or not resolved. So you can still kind of see it. It definitely looks less prominent from arm's length, but if you look close, you know, you can still kind of see it in there. So this one, to get to where we're at now, I did 2 treatments of the bled overlay, and then I did 1 6-hour irradiation of just light, you know, without any overlays, without any peroxide, without anything. At least on comic books, that red ink transfer is dealt with best just with straight on light without any overlays or peroxides. I'm just going to call that on these. I can continue to push them, but I think that's pretty good. You can see here that they're fairly warped, you know, especially the 2 closest to me. You can get that on this edge too. And so what we're going to do now is press these and see how that works. I'm going to hit them with my standard 4-ish minutes of humidity for a comic book. And then I'm going to press these at 150 degrees. And I'm going to apply more pressure than I normally would because these aren't going to have staples. So I'm going to add a layer of backer boards on actually underneath them so that they still get the heat from the top pushed down. So that's going to be the game plan here to press them. I'm going to do 150 for 15 minutes and then a 12-hour cool down, which is kind of my standard routine, and we'll see how they look then. All right, sorry for the second double ending here, but the owner said go ahead and nuke these. So I hit these with an additional 2 treatments of peroxide mist plus another 2 hours each of light. So these now have gotten 2 sets of overlay with 2 hours, a single set of 6 hours of just light, and then 2 doses of peroxide mist plus light. You can see that the cards are now warped from the moisture and the humidity there that they were exposed to, so those will need to get straightened out again, so they're going to repress them. But again, I've been frustrated and disappointed by the inability here to nuke kind of that pink shadow on the background. So that must be much more persistent than I thought initially. They do overall, of course, look much better than when we started. I'm going to give... All right, one final look at these cards. I would say they don't look a whole lot different than they did after that first round. You know, I blasted them again and repressed them again. They're flat now. But unfortunately, that red pigment did not go away how I was kind of hoping. The good news is they don't look any worse for the wear for the extra attempt. Just like with comics, sometimes hard work doesn't really pay off and you don't really get the bumpski you want. I think in this case, we're kind of seeing that here on the cards with that red ink transfer. So personally disappointed in that, but whatever, they look a lot better, and so this is at least a fun little exercise to give it a try, and I think might highlight just some of the limitations of our techniques. But anyway, signing off for realsies this time. Don't forget to click a thumbs up button, grab that subscribe, smash subscribe. It's right there. Other than that, take care, keep on following.